Welcome back to the studio, where it's just you, your brushes, and I want to take a quiet moment to reflect. Today, I want to gently explore something that can often creep into our creative spaces: perfectionism. It's that whisper in the back of your mind telling you that every stroke needs to be flawless, every painting a masterpiece. What if I told you that this need for perfection might be holding you back from discovering your true artistic voice? Perfectionism can feel like a heavy weight, keeping you from the freedom to create with ease and with joy. And it is more than just a nuisance. It can stop you from fully experiencing the beauty of painting, that thing that made you want to dive into this from the beginning. So if you've ever felt like perfectionism is stealing the joy from your art, stick with me through this video. By the end, you're going to have the tools that you need to help you release that burden and find flow in your painting practice. If this resonates with you, I would love to invite you to join me for an encore of last week's webinar. It's a close-knit session where we're going to be diving into your questions about loose painting and the style of painters like John Singer Sargent. You can find the link to sign up in the description, or just comment masterclass and I will send you a personal invite. Now, let's talk about the problem with perfectionism. In many of our art journeys, we are taught that failure is the enemy. From school, we're conditioned to believe that if we're truly worthy, we will never make mistakes or receive anything less than an A+. This mindset can be devastating when it comes to painting. It sets us up to be paralyzed with fear whenever we approach the canvas. The thing is, perfectionism isn't about striving for excellence or having high standards. As Brené Brown points out, it's externally driven by the question, what will people think? It isn't related to having good taste or standards. It's about earning approval and seeking acceptance. This mindset kills curiosity, and it hinders our growth as artists. As Brené says in Dare to Lead, she makes this distinction about being a knower or being right versus being a learner who eventually gets it right. So many of us are focused on being knowers, the straight A students. We want to make unimpeachable paintings. Whenever we show our work to others, we want them to tell us it is perfect, or at the very least, that our potential is clear and our future is bright. We get afraid of struggling because maybe struggling means that we don't have that magic spark of hidden potential or future greatness. Maybe we're just stuck overworking our paintings or working too tightly or struggling fruitlessly to get a likeness in portrait after portrait. So here's what I've learned after working with hundreds of painters who have felt paralyzed by perfectionism. First, understand that perfectionism is not a badge of honor. It is a barrier to your creativity and to your growth. It's essential to recognize when you're being overly critical and to really push back against those thoughts. Every painting session, whether it results in a masterpiece or a mess, is an opportunity to learn and to grow. Shifting your mindset from trying to be right to focusing on getting it right through practice and exploration is the key. In my experience, it's really clear whether this is happening or not in the painting. In my experience, it's really clear whether this is happening, not through the painting, but through how a student brings her painting to me. She is much more likely to list the things that went well, her lessons learned, and the things that she wants to do the same or differently next time to maximize her future results. It's not that she never has a bad day or needs some emotional support, but the foundation of approaching your work with curiosity winds up being clear no matter the day. And at the end of the day, maybe the most helpful tool that you need to break free from perfectionism is to prioritize painting just for the joy of it. Find the subjects or the prompts or the exercises that help you to feel like you're unwinding at the easel instead of performing or being scored on your work. If you aren't sure what that is, pull out your journal right now and start writing about any and every time that you just had fun making art. Write for 10 minutes, uninterrupted. You can even pause this video. Then, after your timer goes off, look for the trends. Look for the things that you wrote down that make you excited to get into the studio right now, and make those a regular part of your routine. And after you have those pieces already in place, here's some additional practical steps that you can take to banish perfectionism from your art practice. The first is to set realistic goals. Instead of aiming for a perfect painting, set goals or objectives that focus on specific aspects of your technique or your style that you want to achieve. Maybe some drawings in a sketchbook to improve your skills with likeness, or quick value studies to help you with your block-ins. Picking just one area to focus on can make a huge difference. I'll illustrate why with an example that I just shared with my students today. When I go into the dance studio to practice dancing for fun, and I have a routine that I want to perform flawlessly, and there's a specific part of that routine that just looks shaky every time that I do it, what would be the best way to fix it? Would it be to run through the entire routine start to finish over and over? Or maybe just drilling that one area of the routine until I see improvement? If you said drilling the one problem area, you would be right. It's not that there isn't a place to rehearse everything start to finish, but if you have a weakness in one area and you know what it is, you're slowing down your progress by scattering your attention across an entire piece of choreography. The same is true in painting. If you know that you're struggling with likeness, focus on the drawing. If you aren't mixing accurate color, try mixing and matching the colors of paint chips from the hardware store. If you want to paint more loosely, try completing a master copy, just in black and white, of that master painting that has effortless looking brushwork to allow you to practice the exact mark making that you love. Do you see what this is doing? It's allowing us to really focus on just one area of technique or style as much as we reasonably can, while isolating out any other variables that take up a lot of brain power when you're painting. The result is that it really takes the pressure off. Next, try exercises that encourage loose, expressive brushwork without worrying about the outcome if perfectionism is holding you back and keeping you painting tightly. Painting from life or doing quick plein air studies as the light changes can be really great for this, as it's much less tempting to be pixel perfect as compared to when we're working off of a photo reference or we have all the time in the world to finish something. And my final piece of practical advice is to reflect on your progress. Keep a journal of your painting sessions. Note the things that you learned, what went well, what you can improve for next time. For my students, they do this a couple of different ways. I ask them to complete morning pages that are just for them. This may or may not include painting notes, but it's one opportunity for them to track their progress. Another opportunity for them to track progress is through checking in with me every week. Through our back and forth, we actually have a written log of their wins, their questions, their accomplishments, so we can actually see their growth over time and remind ourselves that the ultimate goal is not about being right with a perfect painting on any given day. It's about getting it right, so you can consistently create the art that you love. If you found this discussion helpful and want to ask me your top questions about loosening up your oil paintings, I'm hosting an encore of last week's loose painting webinar, where I am going to be going into all of your FAQs about loose painting in the style of John Singer Sargent. Join me by clicking the link in the description or comment masterclass, and I will send you a personalized invite to join. Until then, happy painting.